Welcome, everybody, to the Brand.bar Happy Hour chat. We are going to be talking with the Escrow.com team today. We have Brandon Abbey with us, Mauli Fry, and Keith Gettle. Brandon is the president of Escrow.com, an online escrow service that has over 15 years of experience in serving the online community. Brandon has been responsible for over $2 billion in secure online transactions since 2004. Before Escrow.com, he held senior management positions within the global information technology industry. Mauli is Escrow.com's new domain practice manager. Before joining the team, Mauli worked for Omar Kuba's Thought Convergence and Agreed.com, an escrow service now owned by Escrow.com. Mauli brings over 8 years of experience to our chat today. And if you've ever interacted with Escrow's customer service department, then you know how helpful and friendly they are. We have Keith Gettle to thank for that, the customer service manager. Keith has been with Escrow.com for the past 5 years. Thank you guys for coming in with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we continue, though, I'm getting a little bit of some background noise, so I'm going to try to find that source real quick, and then we'll jump into some questions. Just give me one moment. Let's see. Okay, can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good, and I can still hear you guys too. Okay, great. So let's start the chat, if you will, by I guess just introducing Escrow.com to us, if you don't mind.
Certainly. Escrow.com is a personal property escrow company that was founded in 1999 by Fidelity National Financial, one of the largest title insurance companies in the U.S. In 2002, it transferred to a software company that I happened to work for at the time. And then it was in 2004, it was acquired by an individual investor here in Orange County. And he asked me to run it for him, and I've been here close to 11 years right now.
All right.
We're pretty much the leader in personal property escrow, and I want to recognize a lot of the names on there, and I want to thank them for their business and their trust over the years. So thank you, everyone.
Well, I'd like to, we will probably have some people in the audience who don't know what escrow is. So I was thinking if you could also take us into, I guess, an explanation as to what escrow is as a service and maybe how the process works.
Sure. In an escrow transaction, you usually have a buyer or a seller, sometimes a broker, and there's an agreement between the parties about how the funds are going to get transferred. So people will come onto our website and start a transaction. It can be for a domain name, it can be for a car, it can be for pretty much anything that's personal property. We don't have a license to do real estate, so we stay away from that. But they make the agreement. It'll be the purchase price, what description of the merchandise, how long they have an inspection period for. In a domain name, you don't need too much of an inspection period as long as it's in your account and it's secured. But if you're buying a vehicle, you might want 2 or 3 days to take it down to your mechanic and make sure it doesn't need a new transmission. So once those terms are set, we ask the buyer to fund the escrow. Once the funds are guaranteed and we have them in our trust account, we'll notify the seller that the funds are good and to transfer the merchandise. When the buyer gets it, that inspection period starts, and they have the option to accept it or reject it. If they accept it, the transaction closes. If they reject it, they need to get it back to the seller. So it's actually a pretty simple 5-step process, and it works very well for domain names, websites, all types of personal property.
Okay. So when you secure the money, do you also secure the domain or property in question that's being sold?
Usually not. In some cases we do. With our domain name holding service, we secure the name. And those are for transactions that are paid for over time. We do have some buyers and sellers that want us to take possession of the domain name during the transaction, which we do for an added fee. But that's not our regular practice. And we've done hundreds of thousands of these transactions over the years.
Okay, so more like a case by case basis or as needed basis, you guys would hold the domain as well.
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to get into this because I've been reading a lot lately with regards to online escrow services. And a lot has been coming up about reputation. I wanted to ask you, seeing as you're an escrow service, what should I, as a consumer, look for when I'm deciding which service to use?
Well, I think reputation is very important. I mean, we've been around for 16 years now, and we've built our reputation for trust based on the transactions that we've done and the product that we've provided. But also, I think you want to look at who you're doing business with. Is the escrow company licensed? Are they insured? Are they bonded? Are they, is there any oversight to the escrow company? I mean, we've been, this past year, we were audited by the state of California, the state of Texas, the state of Arizona. And those are actual independent auditors where they send somebody in from the state. They spend time looking at our transactions, and these are pass-fail audits, and we pass them all. But it's also important to note that that's the cost of doing business the right way. And when they come in here, when somebody from Texas comes in to see us, we're paying for them. And we pay their airfare, we pay their room and board, we pay for their time, and it's not an inexpensive proposition. So it's very important that there's oversight to companies that are holding your funds.
So basically, a lot goes into making sure that we're all secure when we do, have transactions that go through escrow.com.
Yes.
Absolutely.
One thing I noticed when I started working here, when I first came in, is you walk in and right along the wall, a long wall, there are licenses, many
Oh,
licenses.
wow.
Just quite unique to see.
Is that something that's also posted to your website? Like, say, someone who's looking, um, when they're, I guess, shopping around for a service that they can use, can they easily find that, or how do they go about knowing or finding out if a company is licensed or if they're able to handle transactions within the state that they're in?
We have it on our website. I don't know about the others.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
So,
the Department of Business Oversight, we're listed there, we're linked there. It's a great site to go to see if a company is legitimate, and only contact that email address, that phone number off of there.
okay. So, do you guys can we close a transaction with anyone, I guess, worldwide? I mean, when we talk about licenses, I guess, can we do a transaction anywhere?
Well, not anywhere. There's some countries we stay away from. Cuba, Iran, North Korea. We follow the U.S. government regulations on where we can do business.
Oh, okay. I
And
see.
then
Okay.
there are also certain things that we have an AML policy, anti-money laundering. So all our transactions have to be checked against the OFAC database, which is the Office of Foreign Asset Controls. So it's another government requirement that we go through.
I see. Well, I do know that relations are supposed to be warming or opening up towards Cuba. Can you see yourself maybe, I guess, extending your services there when that time comes? Or, I mean, what's going to be your protocol on that?
If we have friendly relationships with Cuba and it opens for trade, yes, we'll support it. And I would think that there would be a market for a lot of vehicles coming
Yeah.
from the U.S. to Cuba. So,
Okay, so I want to change direction for a little bit, and I want to ask about something that's really important. How do you introduce the idea of using online escrow service to your buyer? And I have to actually say more specifically to an end user who may not even be, um, you know, pretty, I guess, well versed when it comes down to the whole sales of domains anyway.
Well, if it's a buyer and he wants to send money to somebody that has a domain, it's basically a gift until he gets, or a donation until he gets the domain. So there's nothing to protect him. If it's the seller and he transfers the domain to the buyer, it's kind of a donation until he gets his funds. So, if you think about the process that we do and the cost, it's a protection service that buyers and sellers want. It's not, if you look at, I mean, you're going to spend, $1,000. Would you pay $32.50 to make sure you're going to get what you're paying for? Most people say yes. If it's $20,000, would you pay $201.50 to protect yourself in that transaction? It's not, it's not a lot of money for the protection that we provide.
Okay, so I guess going back a little bit to the case by case or as needed basis where you would possibly hold the domain, would this be a case where, say, I'm talking to an end user about a name that I want to sell them and they're okay with buying it? I introduce the idea of using an online escrow service. They're going to be sending their money over. What if they want you to hold the domain as well? If it's a small sale, like say maybe $1,000, would that be one of those cases where you would still do it, or would it need to be a rather large sale or one that's going to be where the process would take longer and you need to hold the domain for several months? What would be the protocol there?
We would hold the domain for a transaction as low as $1,000 or even lower. It's really up to the buyer and seller and what they want and what they need. When we actually take possession of a domain name, we still charge our normal escrow fee based on the amount of money we're going to be taking in, but we also charge a holding fee based on the amount of time that we're going to hold the domain name in.
Okay.
We charge a minimum fee of $150. So if that's reasonable to them for us to hold it, even if it's going to be for 2 months or 3 months, then we will gladly take that domain name until they've made their payment.
Okay, great. So, are there any concerns or issues that arise when you're using an escrow service?
Well, I would, if it's a legitimate licensed escrow service, there shouldn't be any concern.
Okay. So can we use escrow services to complete like a secure payment on our marketplace? Like if I had a website where I had all my domains listed and I want to be able to use escrow instead of, say, something like PayPal, do you guys have any services like that could, work for a situation like that?
We do. We offer an API marketplace integration, and we also offer the eCart Buy It Now buttons. And we could walk you through the process and show you some examples.
Oh, that's good. Can we do that right now?
Yes.
Oh, that'd be excellent. Well, great. Well, I guess what I'll do is I will just switch the presenters here so you guys can take it from here. This is exciting. Great. Okay. Let's see. Let me open my controls here.
Yes,
thank you.
Okay.
All right. Show my screen.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay. So it's our Buy It Now buttons. It's a very simple integration. It's basic HTML copy and paste. And
let's see. Let me expand this so we can all see. Oh, there we go.
There's broker functionality for confidential financial terms, escrow fee, broker commission, bulk import tools for brokers and sellers. And we do have transaction reports as well.
Ah.
So here's our example from domains 90210. Thank you, Claude.
Oh, thanks, Claude.
Here it is, and this is the Buy It Now button with this very simple copy and paste HTML.
Okay.
So there it is again. And this is the Buy It Now e-cart express cart page. The person is taken here. They see all the information, the buyer, and then they either, as a returning customer, return, sign in, or they just create an account. So it's very simple, very easy to do. Just a quick, yes, I want it, buy it now, taken to escrow.com and purchase.
Wow. So just so I'm clear, this is literally just code that we copy and paste and drop into our. Is that what you're
Correct.
saying? Wow.
Yeah. So I'll show you a little bit more. This is the Buy It Now button. It has the individual express cart button, standard affiliate links, bulk import tool. You can look
Wow.
at all your buttons and an FAQ all in one place.
That's amazing.
There. So this is the button when you click on to create an e-cart button. You click on this, put the button name, currency is US dollars or euros,
Mm-hmm.
the item name, put buyitnow.com, the item description, quantity, unit price, and with this, there's no shipping. If it was merchandise, you may go ahead and add that in. And then this is what pops up. You can say, yes, this is it, okay, or you can cancel to redo it. And then here's the HTML in a link or in a button. And then you just copy and paste that in. It's very simple.
Wow. And this wouldn't matter if you were, like, say I had 10 domains and I created a website for those 10 domains. I can still use this exact same tool no matter the size of my marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And that's where you would use the, if you have, you could do 1,000, you could do 10,000, you could do 100,000.
Wow.
The sky's the limit. Here's just a quick look at the broker button. And then we do have a bulk template for broker and individual sellers. So you can see the additional functionality for the brokers. But here you go, here's the template. So there are 2 sheets. They're quite simple as well. It's a simple copy and paste or add it in, and then you just upload it right here. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. And it looks very easy. I think I could do this, and I'm really not not that technical, but it looks easy enough for me to do it. So that is even better. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. I mean, it's very simple. And if anyone has any questions or wants to go over it in more detail, you can always Skype me, call me, email me.
Oh, look, I see here all the information to reach back. Oh, and thank you, Claude. Thanks for letting us take a look there, or your site was used in the example. Thank you. We appreciate that. So I guess now that we've done this, I'm going to like open this up to questions. Are you guys free for some questions from our audience here?
You want to take control back of the screen, or do you want to leave this up, Angela?
I think I will go ahead and switch over. That way I can start unmuting some mics here and get some questions going.
Well, I noticed Donna said hi to Mauli.
Hi, Donna. So sweet.
Okay, so here we are. If you have a question, you can type it in the chat window and then I can tag you, or I can just go through one at a time and ask. Adrian, your mic is on. If you'd like, you can start.
Yeah, all right, awesome. So, yeah, that's really awesome to see that new feature. I've always wanted to see that feature to be able to use a Buy It Now button. 2 questions. And when someone uses the Buy Now button, do they see transparency across the board? Is it escrow from, the Buy It Now to the completion of the transaction?
It will be within the escrow.com system. There is a co-branding feature that you can have. So in Claude's case, it's I was behind the screen there, so I believe Claude's logo was on that screen.
Oh,
Is that right,
Okay.
Claude?
Okay.
Yes, it is co-branded.
wow.
Okay, great. So my second question is, in regards to Bitcoin. Is that something that you're looking to phase in? Because that's, cryptocurrency is big and it's getting bigger. A lot of the big brands are, starting to, sign off and co-sign for, the cryptocurrency, in particular Bitcoin.
We haven't had much requirement for Bitcoin. There are companies out there that if you came to us today and said you wanted to do a transaction with Bitcoin, we could partner with somebody that would transfer the funds into dollars. So
Gotcha.
it's,
Awesome.
if you look at the currencies that we have, dollars and euros, they're about as stable as you can get compared. And when you compare it to Bitcoin,
Right.
when you can have a 20% drop from the end of business on, Tuesday to Wednesday morning, I think it needs to stabilize a little bit more before
Gotcha.
we go into that space.
That's a really good
Well, I'm
question,
excited. I'm
Adrian.
looking forward to
Oh, go ahead. Oh,
I'm looking
sorry.
forward to using the buy now feature. It's all right. So, but thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to using that service.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see if anyone else here. Thanks, Adrian, for the questions. Claude, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. And I haven't tried this yet, but I'd be interested. Is there any way to sell a small portfolio with the Buy It Now button? So let's say I have a number of legal domain names, and I'd like to package them as one set and offer them at a discount. Can I do that at this time?
Yes, you can, Claude. You can now put multiple items into one button. So previously we had it so you obviously, as you know, you could only make a button for one specific domain name or item. We've now put in a feature that allows you to include multiple items inside of a button. So if you wanted to offer that domain name as a single button at one price, but bundled with a bunch of domain names, you would lower the cost and give some sort of a discount. You could do that.
Oh, thank you, Keith. That's great to know. I'm going to start playing around with that.
Thank you, Claude, for letting us use your site as an example. Thank you very much, and also thanks for the question.
Oh, thank you, Angela. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Sorry, I accidentally muted you while you were still talking.
I just want to thank you for having me, for featuring my site, and I want to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
Thank you.
Happy St. Pat's to you. And I'm sorry about that. I guess I was a little happy with the buttons here just now. Okay, so let's see here. Donna, did you have a question? And I think looking here in the window, I might have a question from Paul. Paul, did you have one?
Angela, can I give a little commercial while we're waiting?
Absolutely, 100%. Go ahead, go for it.
Well, when we went to NamesCon, there were quite a few people that didn't realize we had our domain name holding service, which is basically a way for a seller to finance a sale.
Mm-hmm.
So they can set up the transaction with the buyer, and it might be a $100,000 sale, and there might be 4 payments of $25,000, quarterly payments or yearly payments, or whatever they happen to have. So we'll take that domain and hold it during the term of that transaction. Once the financial obligation is made, we'll pay. The seller's received all his funds. We transfer the name to the buyer. And if there's any default during that period, there's a period where they can remedy the situation, or if it's not remedied, the name goes back to the seller. So it's just another way for you to sell your domains. And it's extremely popular, and there's quite a few of them.
Thank you for that, Brandon. I think we have a question here from Paul, and I'm not sure if he's able to ask it himself.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you. Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Okay. Two questions. One, do you issue a 1096 in your transactions at the end of the year?
No, we do not.
And the second question is, do you have a template so that if, for example, I wanted to list 50 domains, because I got a design challenge where I could just import my domain names in there and just have it show up to the site, and I can then direct my my domain process to it.
Angela, could you hear the question?
I didn't catch that one, Paul. If you're able to type it into the chat window, I can read it out for you. We weren't able to hear your second question.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Does anyone else have any questions in the meantime while he's getting that typed in?
Well, let me take it sounded like Paul was asking if he had a portfolio of 50 names that he wanted to sell, could he do that within escrow? And Paul, you can set up the transaction, and you can send us that list if you want to, and we can add it to the transaction on your behalf.
Does that answer your question, Paul?
Yeah, that's fine. As I said, I'm design challenged, and I'm just looking for some sort of a template so that I can just use, keep it simple. Anything that looks like blogs or anybody else's looks just very simple, nothing fancy. That just lists my domain easily.
Yeah, Paul, you can just email us the list, and we can add it to the transaction.
I think he's trying to build a website to put the buy it now buttons on.
Right. For a template.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We don't have a current template that we give out for a landing page, I think is what he's asking.
Yeah, that's what he's asking about a template.
On here can give him some good ideas, or maybe able to work with him to create one.
Yeah, actually, we'll take a look at seeing if we can't create one for you.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Okay, so I don't see any more questions in the window right now. So I'm going to take this moment to just thank you guys for coming out and chatting with us today. It was awesome, and I can't believe this great news about the Buy It Now button, and the especially great news about it being so easy for me to drop it into my site, because I'm going to need that. I'm not very technical, as Paul put it. So
are you going to play our music for us?
Oh, am I going to play? Well, you know what? I will do that, because what we do now is after the chat, if you want to stick around, we usually, sit back and talk and get to know each other. Now, if you want to go in here right now and do a little dance number, because I do those several times, I can play the music, and you guys can give us a little show if you want.
You can do a dance for us.
Do an Irish jig?
And while we're talking, I want to just say, because I don't want to forget this is very important. I'm just overly excited to have a new sponsor for our Brand.bar chats. And our sponsor is NamesCon 2016. And, I'm overjoyed, because I like to be able to work with companies and people that I believe in. And I went to NamesCon myself last year, and I learned so much, and things have just been so much better for me having walked away with that knowledge. So I want to thank NamesCon for sponsoring us. Yay! And I want to let you guys know here that NamesCon is currently offering a 2-for-1 special. So that means you can get 2 tickets for the price of $3.99. So if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, now is a good time. That's a really great savings. But if you think that's generous, there's more. If you are a Brand.bar member, you can still get your ticket for $199. So come on over to the Brand.bar. I will post the link. I'll make sure you get it, and I'll meet you all in Las Vegas in January. Then we can really have a toast, right?
We'll be there.
And Mauli, you can do that jig you were thinking about. You can do the dance then.
You got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so thank you guys so much. And if you want to hang out afterwards to chat with us, I would be happy to have you and to spend some time getting to talk with you guys. Okay.